name is Kirsty Dignam, and I'm here to look at the weekly energies with today's Monday's musings. I just paused and restarted the video because I ended up doing an introduction into who I am and what I'm doing, and what clearly came through was why explain so much and in so much depth. Why do we overcompensate with the explanation of whatever it is that works for us and who we are? Last week, I had a really interesting new moon in Virgo last Saturday. In the fact that rather than set intentions, rather than write a list of things that I wanted to achieve, because I'm fully aware that I'm taking one step at a time towards them, it was more about what can I do to embody those changes now. Being in Virgo, having my own moon in Virgo, and again, it's that over-analytic need to explain. In order to achieve what I was trying to achieve, I needed to lighten my load. And in order to do that, I needed to look at the energies in my life that resonated with where I wanted to go, and to be quite what I would consider ruthless. I cleared my home, I cleared my plans, I cleared my own energy, and I cleared my social media energy. I drew a fine line between relationships, and that's all that needs to be said on that, to draw that fine line between relationships and the levels that they're at, and adapt accordingly. So where are we going with that this week? There seems to be some confusion in regards to who we're connected to, what we're connected to, and its relevance within our own path. And this week in particular, really taking an opportunity to look at that, to acknowledge whether or not something is connected to the old version of you or the newer version that you are trying to become. That can be people, situations where you live your own energy and your own thoughts towards things. So Saturday, it wasn't the refining of my social media connections that caused the discomfort, but old beliefs, old values, old judgments on myself for doing so. And that feels like key this week, to work not with the energies we are trying to eradicate or adapt or evolve, but to work with the very notion behind it, what it is that is stopping us from doing that. So as I say, this morning I really felt the overwhelming urge to introduce who I am and what I do. Less is more this week. With that in mind, I'm going to look at the energies and how we can best navigate it, because that's what I do. Okay. So my eyes are drawn at, you can't quite see it, but there's there's a painting behind me by the wonderful Jane Delford Taylor, and it's called Abundance. My eyes are really drawn to that because I can see it in the mirror in front of me. So reflecting the abundance, reflecting the abundance this week in what it is we offer. Tickly head, okay, and how we offer it. When I was driving to work this morning, I felt a very, again, my judgment is, I want to say stern, but it wasn't. It was a very clear, channeled, pure, strong energy coming through. And I would have associated it years ago with ego, but actually it was a very fine definition of my own higher self coming in, and my ego was stopping me from connecting to that. So this week in particular, have a real look at ego has many shadows. Now I'm not talking about eradicating the ego, I'm talking about working alongside the ego. And ego has many shadows. There is the obvious, we can see those that are very, but ego itself has a shadow, and that can often come in not doing what is best for us, in not standing in who we are, not stepping up to the mark, stepping up to the plate. That's what I hear this week. Really, really, really looking at anything that holds us back with that. And it feels like it can be really disguised in some uncanny ways. And it's all related to abundance and what we give and how we share. There's ancestral patterns there as we lead into October. That is to be expected because it's a beautiful time to do ancestral healing. Obviously with the Day of the Dead. and Halloween. But it is, again, drawn to that picture. It's very much to do with the hummingbird. It's very much to do with the way of the north, the direction that we're facing, and the sweetness that we choose to feed from this week. It's up to us to connect to what resonates with us, this video included. It's up to us to really stand and connect to the energy that we want to take forward. And it's not about being stern, but about nurturing and having that vision in our mind. Being open to that. Every time we say yes to something that we don't particularly want to do, or every time we not stray but step away from what it is we know is best for us intuitively, what we're doing is holding ourselves back. So it's no judgment there, but looking at why we choose to do that. I do feel a real block over the third eye this week, and I feel real tiredness behind the eyes. This block over the vision that has been there for us to see has caused a real cloudiness over our actual perception of the world this week and our place in it. Okay, so energies this week, how to best navigate it. It feels like we could add many, many things to many, many situations, but the emphasis is always the intention this week in particular. What are we intending to do, and what we're intending to do with the pack is to look at the energies and how to best navigate them. So with that, we have the wheel on the bottom. So look at the changes you are trying to bring in, if any, or stand upon the changes that have already occurred and be seen for that. Yeah, so in this card in particular, you can see that she's actually stood on top of the changes that have occurred, and she's happy to be seen in her light and her shadow for everything that has happened. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I want to have that one for Saturday as well. Sunday. Overall. So overall, we have the Two of Wands. It's really interesting because I connected to the cards before the reading just to see roughly what it would be about. And the cards that came up were the Knight of Wands and the Two of Wands. It wasn't the wheel, but it was the world, and it was very much about moving forward and finding our own rhythm and who we actually are here and what we're here to do. Now, the Knight of Wands and the Two of Wands have come back up again, and although very poignant to the reading, when something comes back up, it needs a second look. As we go into Mercury, from Mercury retrograde from the 10th onwards, we are being gifted that second chance to have a second look. Is it new information? Or is it what we already know and there to solidify our belief in where we're going and ourselves and our relationships? So yes, something coming back up to be seen can be poignant. How poignant we choose to make that is up to us. We can make it poignant enough to think, right, I need to look at this all over again. Or we can make it poignant enough to say, yes, I have really moved on from that. This week with the wheel, it is about recognizing the changes that have happened so that we don't have to keep initiating the ones we've already discovered. The analogy that I'm getting obviously would be labour related, and in labour you can get what's called an anterior lip, which means some of the cervix is swollen up, and it normally swells up because we pushed before we're ready, or we don't recognise the stage of labour that we're at. So we can either bring things forward or we can not quite be prepared and we can go backwards this week. And what I'm hearing is that can actually make the whole situation quite edematous. So really recognising where you are when something comes up. Is it coming up for you to rehash everything, or for you to go, yeah, actually, I've done that, thank you, a tick, yeah, a tick box. Okay, so on the Monday, we have the Nine of Pentacles, and we do, it's just beautiful because it reminds me of the painting behind us. So you can see here that she's reaching up for the bird in the hand, just like the painting behind me. So it is about, and again, it's a very abundant card, the Nine of Pentacles. It is about reflecting what abundance means to you. we're bank holiday today, so I'm coming in, I'm doing a bit of work, and then I'm going home to be with my family, because that's a nice balance for me. For me, abundance is a balance of work, rest, play, a flow, if you will, an equal flow. And it's half the reason why I've cleared through many things in my life. Those things, those aspects, relationship situations that haven't had an equal flow, yeah, I've just cut those out now, because I want that sacred relationship, whether it's with work or people or my home. I want that sacred flow, that Ayni. For me, that's abundance. So today, we're really looking at what abundance is for you. Excuse me. Big clearing there. It may have changed. It may not. It may have been what it's always been. But we may have adapted to understand it on a deeper level. So really today, having a look at what it is you are actually grasping for, what it is you are actually agreeing to share. Okay, so we can set intentions. Best will in the world, we can want things to happen, but what we do the moment we set an intention is we agree with our future self what it is we need to bring in to manifest that. So I remember many, many years ago, setting the intention to be financially free, to be healthy on all levels, to, yeah, lots of different things, to have a relationship where I was truly seen, and yeah, it all sounds wonderful. And there's been work. There's had to be work for that. So financial freedom actually came with bankruptcy. Being healthy actually came with every area that I wasn't healthy being brought to life, and a relationship where you are seen. That's fine all the time. You like what you see, right? So it is knowing today, whatever it is you are grasping for, recognizing the flow behind it and ensuring that it is balanced, that it is Ayni, that it is matched, from yourself included. Okay, so we may want a devoted relationship where there's no doubts. We will need to look at our own. We may want an abundant life where we believe all our needs are met. Then we need to look at where we think they're not. Okay, so it is ensuring, almost like an umbilical cord, that flow is healthy. That is abundance, whatever that may be for you, whether that is relationships, work, home life, whatever, money, whatever, ensuring that flow is balanced, okay, and that it is healthy. On the Tuesday, we then ironically have the Two of Cups. So we do have that union. Once we can recognize what abundance is to us, and it is relationships, right? It is how Ayni is sacred relationships. It's sacred reciprocity. It's how we relate to each other. It's how we relate to the earth. It's how we relate to our own health, our own money. It's everything. It's relationships. And once we can recognize where we are abundant, where we would like to be more abundant, then we have that union in the Two of Cups. Then we can look at who's in our life and who we want to unite in order to start bringing in the changes that are coming to light on the Wednesday. On the Wednesday, we have the Eight of Pentacles. So we are talking about work, but we're talking about work in stages. In this card in particular, you can see the lunar phases here. So it is, what I hear is work smart. Work smart. If you're feeling energetic and you want to do something and you're feeling really drawn to create, flow with it. If you're not, I understand we have deadlines and everything else, but if you're not, maybe find a way to embrace that creative flow, to increase that desire behind whatever it is you need to fulfill. If we're trying to achieve something that we're not quite in alignment with, we know this anyway, but if we're trying to achieve something we're not quite in alignment with, it becomes hard work. Work is flow. Whether that's cleaning a home, whether that's physical work, whether that's writing something, creating something, raising a family, there's a flow, okay? And it is really about finding your own unique flow and stepping into that. So when I do cleaning a couple of times a week, because it keeps me grounded and it brings in the extra cash, and it's nice to connect to people in their homes and, you know, discover their lives and make sure they're living in a sacred space. So I do cleaning and cleansing. When I do that, it's a very physically demanding job, but my energy is in a very Zen-like flow. Now, if you can find your own flow this week, if you can really step into that relationship with yourself, you'll find the abundance in all the other relationships, and work will be less hard. It will be work smart, because it will be literally doing things that you need to do to achieve where you need to be. So it will make sense. That's the key, make sense. How does it feel on the Wednesday in regards to any work opportunities or work that needs doing? Okay. This is where my eyes are drawn back to the wheel. If it's an opportunity that is the same as one that you've already been through and you feel like you will gain nothing from it, work smart. Work smart. You know, when it comes to manifestation, it isn't always what we want the first time, and it can take a bit of tweaking. Okay, so if we're given an offer that we like but it isn't quite right, tweak it. Tweak it. Thank you, but what's the next negotiation on this? Thank you, but I'm looking more for X, Y, and Z. Okay, and being okay with that, being okay with the work that it takes to do that because of the work that we have actually put in. On the Thursday, we have the Page of Wands, and I want to show the Thursday and Friday together because we have the Page of Wands. It's like that intention set up there. This is what I would really, really love, and just being free and light with it. And then on the Friday, we have the Tower. Like the universe has answered, and this is what you need to do. Okay, so again, it's that intention, that manifestation, recognizing with a deeper sacredness what it is you are agreeing to, basically, every time we set an intention in play. Now, that isn't to say be cautious when you have an intention, you know, that isn't to say don't be young and free with what it is we are intending. Trust that intuition, trust that whatever we bring in was always going to be part of our evolution and our lesson and the change anyway. Keep it light, keep it fun, but be aware of what it is you are calling in, because there will be necessary changes on the Friday as a result. Now on the Saturday, we have today's cards, basically the Seven of Cups and the Five of Cups. We ask, we receive, it changes everything. Now we're not sure. Okay, now the reason we're not sure is because when we ask for something to change, when we become aware of our potential in the Seven of Cups, we become aware of all the other things that we could have asked for and all the other things that we could do, and that's fantastic. And we can lose sight of where we are emotionally in regards to that. We can ask for something, it comes in, and we recognize what it is we need to do in order to receive that, right? It's like, okay, so I'd like those things, but where do I start? Where do I start? Where we start is with the Five of Cups. We recognize that actually we need to let go. We need to let go of what was first. A lot of the changes that we ask for in our life are there waiting, ripe, like the Nine of Pentacles for picking. But we can't do that if we're not going to acknowledge that they are now ripe, that we are worthy, that we can stand up and that we can select what it is we need, because we can do whatever is required of us to get from A to B. That takes courage. That takes a recognition of letting go of anything that isn't in alignment with that this week. Letting go, be that at home, work, relationships, our own views on things, our old self. Letting go of what once probably worked and was incredibly beautiful and incredibly sacred, with gratitude for how it is moving you forward. Because on the Sunday, we have the Knight of Wands, and this is that wonderful opportunity to find your own passion now, to find your own beat, to find your own rhythm, and to dance to it. Okay, so I was driving down here today. You'll notice I have to keep changing my position. I have sciatica. I'm experiencing sciatica, and my intuition suggests that it's from something to do with a disc in my back, but I also know that it came from two things: carrying flint in a backpack, which was a wonderful shamanic experience for me, working with the stone people and carrying that flint and conversing with the messages that were coming through from such ancient energy that when hit together would make fire, right? The fire in her drum here, when we spark the flint together, those old energies together, it would make fire. The other one was dance. I'd done an online belly dance program, and I've basically moved in ways that I hadn't moved, and that's key this week, to move in ways that we haven't moved. So this morning I was going to do yin yoga, I was going to go swimming, I was going to go and do tai chi, and my back didn't want to do any of it. And that kind of left me a little bit miffed, a little bit like the Seven of Cups. Well, what do I do then? Because I don't want to be someone that's struggling with their back. I'm trying to improve my health, blah, blah, blah. Shouldn't say blah, blah, blah. We're trying to improve our health. And there's an emphasis on that this week. It might seem like something small that we're trying to evolve or change, but actually it's fundamental to everything else that we're trying to shift this week. Because health is our wealth, right? Health is our abundance. When we have our health, there is so much that we can achieve mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, which is going to come into play this week. It's going to come into and connect together this week. It's going to be the missing blocks, the building blocks of life, if you will. Anyway, in my car, I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to do any of it, which is a bit of a shame. And got in my car, put on some music, and it was all the 90s or the noughties, as they call it, music. And I just loved it. And I found myself dancing in the car, and I found myself stretching my back in ways that I would have in all of those exercise programs. So what I'm getting at here is intention is key. The intention today was to shift my back to make it more comfortable. And several things have happened. I'm dancing in the car, I'm talking about it now and its importance in my life, but also I'm having to sit and observe my posture, because when I don't, that's when it plays up. So being very aware that it may not seem as if your intentions are being met, but it's more this week in the everyday things. So we may ask for all of our debts to be cleared and sit and wait for the money to come in, or we can look at the little things that are happening, a booking for work or a debt that doesn't need paying this week, or there are many ways for the world to help, and we are talking the wheel here, so it's little changes, okay, little changes, almost like breadcrumbs, just to keep us going towards the bigger vision and the bigger change. Okay, so what is the bigger vision and the bigger change? I've been really drawn to look at a lily on my table, and it's a friendship lily, and it's pink. So again, it is going back to that relationship building, but also relationship building with love. And it reminds me very much of not just the divine feminine, because it has the petal and the male aspect coming up as well, but also the sacred masculine. So really looking at the relationship, the sacred union of both aspects in everything that we do this week. Looking at our actions, but also looking at our ability to reflect on our actions. Now, last night, I remember actually in my dream, I was getting a little bit in my dream time last night about Mary, Magdalene, and Joseph, and how both characters, both archetypes have been less explored, shall we say. I don't want to get into the politics or the religion side of it, but less explored. And universally, Joseph is seen as a character that was gullible, that didn't really have a major part to play in the whole story. However, Joseph is the physical masculine. Without Joseph, Mary probably wouldn't have had the support she needed throughout the whole of the raising of Jesus. Would Jesus have been as grounded without that physical masculine? And Joseph's belief in Mary as a person and what she believed in, and his ability to get her somewhere safe to deliver that's pretty impressive. Then on the other hand, we have the physical aspect of the feminine, Mary Magdalene. You know, we have Mother Mary, the sacred virgin vessel, and then we have the physical Mary Magdalene, as we all know the way that she has been portrayed. But actually her relationship with Jesus was one of physical love and witnessing. So what I'm getting at here is these two energies Our physical masculine and our physical feminine are often downplayed throughout the stories of time. It is very much all about the spiritual feminine and the more higher spiritual masculine. This week it feels very important to see how they relate. And what came through last night was when we are having moments where our physical masculine shadow is coming through, where we are overreacting, overacting, really going hell for leather against what it is we feel, going against our intuition. When our physical masculine shadow comes through, what we actually really need is our spiritual feminine. So we need that higher reflective insight. And we need to make time for that. Equally, when our physical shadow, of the feminine is coming through, when we are over reflecting, perhaps without having actions, that's when we need to bring in our sacred masculine and look for those actions. Now, I'm going to leave it up to you guys which one is which. I'm going to leave it up to you guys as to whether or not you see the physical feminine as the higher energy or the lower energy, and that's going to be different for you all. But basically what I'm getting at here is a need for balance. Okay, a need for balance between the union of the masculine and the feminine, not just spiritually, physically, in everything that we do and how we apply it to life. That's how we work smart, right? It's all about how we apply it to life. And there needs to be change there. There will be change there, because the two major arcanas that we have are the Tower and the Wheel. So it's necessary change. It's a necessary shift, and it can be something as simple as our own perspective. It can be something as pure as how we see things. The next moon stage, I think, is in Pisces, the next full moon. So from now until then, we are going to be seeing things from a different perspective. And that's going to really shift things. That in itself is enough. How we act with that is going to be the second level of that change. But first and foremost, we need to see it. Yeah, we need to see the change so that we don't keep repeating it, so that we don't keep bringing in unnecessary tower moments. The tower isn't changes that we bring in, it's changes that we surrender to that are necessary, often unknown. So we can think, yes, I needed to change that. That was a tower moment. That was a tower moment. Tower moments normally come with a real aha. Okay, so this week in particular, those ones that make you go, or things that make you go, That's what I'm hearing in the song, things that make you go, Tower moments. Take a moment to really respect them and to really see them, because they're almost like the underlying foundation this week. So we then have two pentacle cards, beautiful balance there, and balance is key. The 9 of Pentacles and the 8 of Pentacles. Yes, we put in the work to get the abundance, but that flow, it needs to be healthy. It needs to be healthy and matched. Then we have 1, 2, 3 cup cards. When we talk about 3, we talk about creativity, we talk about celebration, we talk about breath. And in the moments where we are undecided with the 7 of cups, or where we may feel like we know we need to move forward, but we're not quite sure how, or whether we feel up to it, whether we feel ready, really thinking about the 2 of cups, really uniting with the vision that you are trying to achieve, be that in your relationships, your work, your own health. What is it you are trying to achieve? So this morning, yes, I wanted to achieve less pain in my back, but actually for me that meant less exertion today. So really, really connecting to your physical body and your spiritual body this week, and just feeling into what it is you're trying to achieve, and ensure that everything that you do, including how you feel about it, that feels like key, including how you feel about it, has to be in alignment. So we can know that we need to do more of X, Y, and Z to get what we're trying to achieve, but we can really think, I just don't want to do it. Then there's no point doing it. Work on shifting your mindset and your energy. Do something that helps you want to do what it is you're trying to achieve. Even just seeing it from a different perspective, because otherwise it's going to make it hard work this week. We then have 1, 2, 3 wand cards again. So we have that beautiful creative birth and deliverance here, and that moving forward. And that moving forward comes from the ability to go from the Page of Wands to the Knight of Wands, to see that even though what we're asking for may feel a pipe dream, it may feel like out there, it may feel, you know, in the Page of Wands, she has literally chucked the wand up to whatever it is you are believing in, source, your higher self, whatever you're trying to unite with. She chucks that intention up into the air. That doesn't mean she's put it outside of herself. She knows she has to catch it at one point. Yeah, and that's the difference with the Knight of Wands. She has caught it, she's put it in the ground, and she knows what she needs to do in order to get there. Now, when I say she, I don't mean female as in gender, but in this, it feels quite important that even though it's a very masculine fire energy, it's more the divine feminine energy this week that is actually moving forward. And it's important to recognize that. This week, it's that will help us move forward, that it is the feminine that is now moving forward this week. Okay. Is there anything else? I feel the block here with the third eye is the word feminine. I feel that is where a lot of the indecisiveness is coming from. That is where a lot of the doubt and almost sadness is coming from. So let's go into that quickly. So when I talk about the feminine, what I'm talking about is the physical vessel. It is the shadow. It is the intuitive self. It is the earth. This week, really connect to what the divine feminine is for you. What does it mean for you? What does the shadow mean? What does your relationship with the earth look like? What does the relationship with your physical body look like? Oh, here we are. Yeah, so we have the Eight of Swords here, and we have that reflection of almost feeling trapped. Yeah, but as you can see, that individual isn't actually trapped. It's just the reflection. So really looking at the reflections around you this week, because we have the Five of Wands and the Nine of Wands. A lot of defensiveness here. Taking what works, helping you to move up with that to find your own truth. Just because something is being reflected to us doesn't always mean we have to take it on board, doesn't mean it's always relevant to us, this video included. And this week it is very much about having the strength to know the difference. Okay, having the strength to know the difference. How does that come about? By feeling into our own body, by feeling into our own intuition, by recognizing our own light and connecting with things that help to bring that to the surface, not subdue it. Okay, is there anything else this week? It kind of like feels like it's left like a cliffhanger into next week's energy. It kind of feels like there's a lot coming in, but it hasn't solidified into selective pieces because we're on the Tower. We don't rebuild when the Tower card comes up. We allow things to fall down so that we can see what's actually in front of us. So this week, as we start to go into Mercury retrograde, it does feel like letting things fall where they are. Letting what doesn't work go. Disconnecting from energies, situations, people who may feed your feeling of not being enough. Without judgment. Because when we do that, we're recognizing our own worth, and it's that that's actually needed this week to take forward. Yeah, and we have the Five of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles. Until we move on, that abundance will always be at the limit that we've given it. Until we recognize our own worth, that abundance will always match and be reflected in our own view of it. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.